Okay. Hello and welcome. I am so glad you are here. We are going to talk all things Peptides 101 and why this industry is exploding like it is, and why it works and it doesn't work, and why it's important that you know where you partner with and who, and all of the details in between. And I think the best part about something like this coming into our industry is it's requiring people to learn, and it's requiring people to ask questions, and it's requiring people to know about their bodies and learn more. And that, I think, just jazzes me up. You know, our bodies deserve more than just weight loss, right? We and peptides do so much more than just just peptides. And I think that that's the biggest piece to this whole caveat, is that it's so much more than just what, the GLPs is just the blanket. It's just the beginning. The rest of it is where things get really, really exciting. So, um, well, let's get right into it here. Okay. We got the why. Well, let me start with who am I? Let's start there. Okay. So I have been in the industry for 24 years. I got in college and began to teach fitness and learn. And I should say that I come to it by trade. My mother was a fitness instructor. So it's just been something that has been in my blood and who would I do. And, I have been watching women struggle and trying to help them in so many different ways. And unfortunately, everybody's built so differently that I have always kind of stayed in this industry. Even when I tried to get out of it, I think I stayed locked in, and then myself and my own body. So I'm 40, I'll be 43 here in a couple months. I have four kiddos, four C-sections. I had them back to back to back. They were 5, 4, 3, 1, or somewhere 5, 4. I don't know, 5, 4, 2, 1. They were all little, and things was crazy. And I learned, my body for a long time would try to bounce back. And even after my fourth, I felt like I did. And then I was going backwards. I was seeing inflammation that I hadn't seen. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. I had inflammation that, now looking back, was always a part of anytime I felt the best. You could still see inflammation just hanging on my body like it was meant to live there. I began to become more exhausted. My mom went through menopause at 44, so I knew that I was going to begin to see some of these changes shift in my life. And, aside from just weight resistance, which, yes, I was kind of just living in that same amount of weight, didn't matter what I did, didn't matter, none of that mattered. But I've always been able to kind of look at the other things, whether it was photos or inches. But the thing that was crushing me was the body fat part. And my body fat percentage was really high. And I was like, man, I am working so hard. I'm eating the right things. I'm doing all the things that I know are the correct thing for my body to do. And yet I am not getting the results that I want to get. Why? And that was just my story. And then I had clients coming in from, 10 years that had, I've been working with for 10 plus years. We had done Beachbody together. We had done cleanses together. We had done fasts and all these things together. And they were like, Kim, I love you, but the things that things are just not working. And I don't know how to get back or even begin to where I want. And I'm so frustrated. And that broke my heart, because here they were coming to me, trusting me, and I couldn't, as we got older, the results were just not as easy to come by. And then there was the other people who were coming to me and telling me they were getting on Ozempic, they were getting on these different weight loss drugs, and they were really high doses, and they were getting terrible side effects. And they were given dose based off of things that weren't, doctors aren't always getting to the root of you, number one. And number two, a lot of times they're not rebutting you with like a plan. How can I help her? How can I get to the bottom of that? And so that kind of was where I really stopped in my tracks and realized I've got to. I've got to shift as someone who was, honestly, I was like, we can get results without the shot. I was one of those people. And that was because I was so naive. I just didn't do enough research. I didn't really understand. I thought, yes, they were shortcuts. I just had no idea what they truly were, and that they'd been used in so many other countries for so long, that they were already being used in underground ways here in the US. And I was so closed off because I didn't even try to learn. And I think that that's the piece that for me was almost like I felt like I was judging something that I didn't even really understand. And that was kind of when I was like, I've got to make some changes. I've got to adapt to where we are going with our bodies and what is happening. And, at this time, HRT is kind of making it slow uh, comeback story, if you will, after being, deemed the devil, and watching then my mom and that entire age demographic go through horrific um, hormone imbalances without any help. And that is the piece that I think just really broke me, because I think that it's so unfortunate that this entire industry, this entire age group had to suffer for no reason. And so I knew it was time. So let's just go like real basic here. What even is a peptide? I feel like we throwing this word has become this, like, we just throw it around in La La Land. And oops, I knew I was going to do that. There it is. And what exactly is it? What even is it? So a peptide is honestly just a short chain of amino acids. They are building blocks of protein, and our body already naturally produces them. And so they're truly like acting, messengers in the body, signaling and telling our body how to perform, how to function, how to repair, how to burn fat, how to boost our metabolism, hormone regulation, sleep, inflammation, recovery, muscle repair, uh, sex hormones, like you name it. This is, there really are in our body's internal text message telling them to be precise, targeted, and powerful. And unfortunately, as we age, they stop functioning, whether it's because we treated our body like crap, whether it's because of the outside parameters, um, situations, circumstances, or if it's just because we're aging and this is what's happening. And so, this was really where we're not, this isn't, we're not putting random things into our body. It's about supporting systems that may no longer be functioning properly. And when I feel like that was the one piece I learned, and it was like, oh, well, this makes so much more sense, right? Learning that it's so much more than weight loss. Yes, GLPs fall into this category, but man, I mean, there's skin renewal. A lot of people take them because they're trying to slow growth tumors in their bodies. Hormone optimization, sleep, cognitive function, gut healing, ADHD, autoimmune disorders, disease, arthritis, immune support, you name it. There was just a wide range of reasons why people have been taking peptides. And, GLPs really opened the door because it helped women realize, like, I'm not crazy, right? My hormones and my metabolism matter. We were starting to have conversations about longevity and visceral fat and inflammation and muscle preservation and mitochondria and our cognitive health. This conversation became so much bigger than weight loss. And one of the biggest things that I think is the hardest piece to differentiate is there's so much information out there, but the reality is there is a difference between safe and research peptides, right? So I only deal with the physician uh, prescribed peptides. Um, sourced from a 503A pharmacy, right? It's personalized to you, that you take a medical intake form, they review it, and based off of your medical history, they decide if it is right for you. This isn't like anyone, I can influence you, but the doctor has to prescribe it. I physically can't. I don't even end up knowing, as an ambassador, we don't even really end up knowing what you are taking because of HIPAA laws. And I like that, right? Like I can't go in and say, oh, they're deciding to take this and they should do that. Instead, it's you have a doctor portal. You get to ask questions. You can say, anything. And if you even want to get on the phone with a doctor and talk about what you think would be best for you, you can do that. But when you're dealing with research grade, it's an online website, no physician oversight, unknown dosing, no testing transparency, self experimentation, right? You're going to get this bottle at home with powder in it, and then you have to figure out how to reconstitute it with backwater and get different needles. And then you have to make sure that you don't pollute it or get air or any of these things. Otherwise, you're then injecting that into your body. And that's, I mean, you're taking a risk, right? Like, and I think for me, yeah, I looked at the prices of research grade and I looked at the prices of prescribed. And absolutely, would I love to hop over and, hop on the train of unprescribed? Sure. But I will tell you that what kept me from it was I kept thinking, like, what if something happens? And now I have to explain to my kids that I was taking like black market peptides from the internet that I was influenced by from Instagrammer. Like I played this like story out in my head and I read enough stories of like things happening that I was like, it's not worth it. Like I just want to take what's right and what's formulated and what's being tested and what's checked and checked again, because not all peptide companies are built the same. So when I started looking, I was 100% looking for um, something that doctors were prescribing, that were coming from a pharmacy, and that helped me just feel 10 times better about the whole process, right? So, what kind of peptides are there? Because you hear so many of them. I'm not going to mention all of them. I'll give you kind of the main ones. Obviously, you have a GLP-1. We offer two different kinds. We have GLP-1 for weight loss, which, yes, they're all going to offer weight loss, but one is a weight loss dose and one is a micro dose. And one goes up in tiers depending on what your goals are, and one just stays the same. And I will tell you that the one that stays the same, the microdose, a lot of people end up on that and they dose down and they take an even smaller amount than what is even recommended to them. So obviously, GLP, GIP, is semaglutide and tirzepatide. At this point in the game, most of us are recommending trizepatide over semaglutide for reasons of just it slows down your system too much. There's just seems to be no side effects on the GLP GIP versus the semaglutide. But this is going to help you with your blood sugar. This is going to help with your visceral fat. This is a great place to start if you have a lot of inflammation. Really, GLP is the gateway. It's the one most people start with because it's the biggest result given, right? Then you move more into longevity. This is going to be, your tesamorelin, ipamorelin, or tesamorelin KPV, or your Clo, which is your tesamorelin, KPV, TB500, and BPC 157. Then you have MOTS-C, which is like, it's called the fitness peptide. It's your energy and longevity. Then you have BPC 157, TB500, which is like, this is the healing and repair. I can't tell you how many people now, when you're getting a good, like if you have surgery and you're having a good, you get in with a good physician, they will 100% prescribe you this peptide, and they're going to get it from a compounding pharmacy such as Ellie. I can't tell you how many doctors, MPs, hormone therapists, chiropractors, dentists, um, med spas that are partnered with Ellie so that they can have this full range of choice to offer their clients, because they can't do it through their own practice. GHKCU, this is the one the stars have been on forever. This is your skin and your collagen and your hair. It's literally healing from the outside in. Many women love NAD. NAD is going to be your energy and your mitochondria and your cellular health and your cognitive function and your just, it's such a great, so many women on that are in menopause love NAD. We also just added DSIP and synapsin, which are your sleep. It's like your sleep peptide, but so if you're someone who never sleeps deeply or soundly or good, this is a phenomenal peptide, not addictive like a melatonin. It's not going to make your body feel like it can't do something. It's just going to support you. What else? We just added, oh gosh, what are they called? Ones for um, anxiety, ones for, where did you go? Exit. Hang on, I'm just going to pull it up because my brain. Not synapsin. Oh, yeah. Synapsin and Cmax. Oh, and Salonk. Yes. So these are nasal sprays. These are so great for mood and anxiety and just feeling that, frustration in life, and that's going to support you in that. So we've really just moved into this land of there's so much more support than what you think there is, right? And I think that that's the piece that's really life-changing for so many people. So what is my experience? What do I personally use? So let me just start. I came in. And right out of the gate, I got on a microdose of a trizepatoid. At that time, I added B12. We now have two other boosters you can add. They're kind of differencing in what you experience. Um, I was really looking to bring my body fat percentage down. I was really trying to level up in my fitness game, and I was ready to kind of see what my body was capable of as I was kind of coming into that 40-41. And I wanted to see what we could do. I really wanted to recomp my body. I was definitely like, okay, is Botox next? I was living in this land of like, I could see aging just creeping in each and every day. And so I had to kind of and decide what that looked like. So I started with a microdose. I'm still on a microdose. I don't always take the full. When I'm not on my cycle, I take only 20 units. When I'm on my cycle, I take 50. Or if I'm depending, some months I might change it up during Christmas. I stayed on 50. So I didn't want to eat the house in cookies. I take MOTS-C, which is the fitness peptide, just helps you burn fat faster, gives you a better workout, helps you build muscle. I take that before I work out. And then I take GHKCU. I'm currently off a tesamorelin, ipamorelin, but that's one of those ones you can cycle on and off. But I am going to go back once I run out of my GHKCU. I'm adding in Clo. I'd love to see what sucking out inflammation looks like in my body. And I really feel like that's the piece that I'm so pumped for. So that'll be the kind of the next thing I add. Um, which is, really exciting. So, and the difference between your weight loss shot and your microdose is you have to have a BMI over 20 to qualify for the micro, and you have to have a BMI over 27 to qualify for the macro, or we'll call it the weight loss dose. But I kind of like the macro. And as a client, so this is probably the biggest piece for me. Um, I didn't just want people to get some peptides and like, okay, like good luck. I hope you have a great, good luck. I hope your experience is fantastic. That wasn't it. And so, I really do believe that this is where the difference lies. I offer a 13-week or 12-week program that's for progressive overload lifting, which is really the kind of lifting that you should be doing over the age of 35. You get a macro plan, you get meal plans, you get a list of supplements that you may want to take to add on. Um, you get support, you get meal plans every Friday. You're going to get a guide that's going to literally guide you through every step of the way. As Ellie, as a prescriber, they offer educational calls twice a week that you can hop on and you can learn more about different protocols and just different peptides, and it's insane the level of care by joining us is bar none. This is not like, okay, here's your peptide, have a great life, I hope it goes well, let me know when you're ready to reorder. Not what you're getting here. You get as much as you want. Obviously, some people are that way. They just want it and then they want out, and that's fine. Everybody is so different when it comes to that. But for my clients, one of the biggest things for me is that I just really want to make sure that you're getting full support right out of the gate so that you can work on that foundation. You can add those, the tips or the habits that are going to make the difference in your life, so that you never ever have to look back and wonder like what, who, when, why, right? Um, and so, when I originally came in to this, it started as, well, I've got some clients. I want to know that I'm helping them with the best possible peptides out there. It then turned into my own journey. And then it, of course, quickly turned into a very large business. Um, you know, there is something to be said about being one of the only businesses like this in the industry. We are a physician guided model. We call ourselves pointers. We're just there to, point you in the direction of the peptides that you may want, answer questions. At the end of the day, the doctor does the prescribing. We're a compliant telehealth company. There's no inventory, there's no prescribing, there's no liability. Education is always first. It's scalable. The impact is insane. um, you know, Med spas are joining, I would say, on the daily, because they're able to add service without prescribing. They're able to add service without inventory. And of course, they can take that insurance off for having to worry about, a prescription or, helping people in that business. But they're products you can stand behind. And so that's why we have such a huge demographic of business professionals that are already joining us and helping and doing what maybe they didn't think they could. But it's a community of women who are truly building something real. And Ellie really does set themselves as a standalone. The people who started this business and the people who are in this business are they're the top of the line. It's a class act. I don't know how else to explain it. Our CEO is one of a kind. She started this business. She is a biochemist by trade. She is a single mom of two boys, and she comes from another country where women are not what she has rose to. And she watched as she started in hospice care and she was watching people just die. And there was nothing left for them to do. And she was like, man, if I had just gotten to them sooner, if I could have just helped them in the beginning, before they got to this place, before the inflammation took over, the heart disease or whatever it is. And it's really where Ellie dreamed up out of. She ended up partnering with the biggest peptide owner in the country. Our our pharmacy is based out of Houston, and this was really it breathed out of life because she wanted to help people before they got sick, before they were on their deathbeds. And so it's a company built out of longevity. Ellie is like the elephants that march around their tribe when one of them is sick. That is the Ellie model. That's what we provide, and that's who we are. And it's really rich, and it's like nothing I've ever seen. And I've definitely been around and seen lots of different companies, and there's just nothing else that compares to what Ellie has created here. So, okay, couple of big FAQs that come up. Are peptides safe? I mean, they're physician prescribed. Obviously, anything comes with side effects if not taken. I think one of the biggest things, right, is like, how do you deal? This is one of the biggest questions. Like, how do you deal with the fact that Ozempic's being sued all the time? So here's the deal. Ozempic is a big name brand company, okay, that they've put their name on it. There are lots of ingredients within Ozempic that are not within what we offer over here. Number one. Number two, a doctor can prescribe to any patient any dose. So let's say I went and I was willing to pay out of pocket for a large dose of a GLP. I would lose weight very fast. And what would happen is my hair would fall out. And then what would happen is I would have stomach paralysis because I wouldn't be eating enough because it would be too strong for my body. The side effects that people are having aren't necessarily from the drug, they're from the person not doing the right protocols. And that is why it is so important to partner with someone that is going to provide the care that you need, telling you what foods to eat, telling you what time of day, telling you what is best and what works well, and how to, the whole nine, how to really live life to the max, utilizing peptides as a tool, not as a foundation. So that's just a really big piece of it. Losing muscle, another huge question. I will tell you right now, I am the strongest I have ever been. I have lost 15 pounds since starting on peptides. I've taken my body fat percentage from a 24 to a 16. And I have seen things my body do that I had no idea it was capable of. And that is very exciting. And so, we, and is it going to be on something you're on forever? Big question. Um, the hard part for me is um, I'm beginning to learn how the long-term benefits of peptides. And so I can see the like, oh, but I mean, I would love to continue on and protect my body and fight off dementia and Alzheimer's and which is highly in my family's history. Arthritis, which is a huge issue in my family specifically. And I think if I can combat some of these inflammatory issues ahead of time, I really don't see myself coming off. But that's my choice, right? Like that's not, you don't have to do that. You can titrate down until you're no longer on it at all. I have lots of clients who no longer take them and still feel fantastic because they worked on the foundation. And that is really the most important piece. So, I think just really, how to see this as what works for you. So the process of what happens. So you fill out a medical intake form for the peptide that you choose. You actually, we should do, let's just really quick. Let me just show you because I think this is important. I'm going to just pull up Ellie. Okay. So I need to share my screen, right? Hold on. I'm just going to show you the whole process. Okay. So you are on Ellie and maybe you get sent a link from me of what you should take. So let's just go, oops, let's just go to products. Um, and let's go to, actually, let's go to microdose. This is the current one I'm taking. So this is, you're going to go down and this is the full supply. This is per month. So there are monthly options for pay. So then you're going to begin the medical intake form. I have an account set up. I recommend setting up an account, which you might not even be able to get very far, like get past this part without. So you're going to fill out all this information. And then you get to the end and it will go to your doctor. The doctor is within your state. That's how this is obviously legal. So it'll go to a doctor within your state that we have part of our doctor network. They approve it, they send it to the pharmacy, and it literally gets shipped to your house within 24 hours. It is very, very fast. We don't mess around. We get you what you need. So, and some of them are a little bit longer. They're not all as fast. The GLPs seem to be the fastest. And then you get it in the mail. It is a the needle is so very small. It is not something to be terrified of. You just simply uh, pull, and we have lots of videos on how to do it. You just grab a big chunk of your fat and you put it in, and you do not feel it. You rub out, if it get like a little knot, then you just rub that knot out and away you go. Obviously, some of them are better at nighttime, some of them are better during the day. But here currently is a list of all of the products that Ellie offers. So it is lots and lots. And we are so close to offering, um, we will be able to send you 4 hormones, so that you can get on testosterone, progesterone, um, estrogen, full HRT if needed. And what's cool is if you were like me, who just went through this whole process and couldn't find a doctor to get my blood work done and ended up finding this one online and it was so expensive, this will be so much faster. You'll, go online, send your paperwork or fill out do your blood work. It'll go back to your doctor with an Ellie. You will, you'll decide between you and your doctor what is the best situation for you, and away you go. And that's it. So we are just on the surface. We're only going to grow and become more and more and more educated in women's health and men's health and adding to the longevity of human beings. And I think that that is just so powerful. It's such a time to be a part of this. The movement is fierce. Because it's going to be everywhere. And so getting on board with a legitimate company in the beginning before it gets, wildly, I feel like already you're starting to see other companies try to bring it on and, they're going to bring on this and they're going to bring on that. But being a part of the one that really set the standard as well as the just like this is what we're doing, this is what it is, feels really great, and makes a lot of sense. So that's it. There is no monthly membership. That question comes up a ton. There's no extra fees. If you decide to join as a business partner, it's $79. Once you get in 500 PV, you get $59 back. So it ends up being 20. The training is bar none. You will not, I, th there is zero reason for you to fail unless you choose just not to know it. There's so much information out there. So, Ellie is, I feel like, a company full of women who are well educated, well trained, either come from this network marketing business in droves from lots of history and lots of knows, what they've been doing, or you're coming in bringing your business with you. So we're just, it's above and beyond what you're looking for. And it's a place where putting your safety in their hands is a great choice. So, I wish that I could say it wasn't as life-changing as it is, but I could not be more excited for what it has done for myself, what it's doing for my husband, what it's done for my immediate family. It has been one of the biggest game changers in my own health and wellness that I didn't even know was possible. So don't think you are ever too old to start to feel on fire again. All right. If you have any questions at all, let me know. Here to answer. I hope that I answered all of your questions, and I'll see you on the next one.